Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you for joining me again today for another card making tutorial, and today we are featuring the Nature's Prints bundle cling mount stamp. It does have coordinating dies called Natural Prints, nice set there. And also you'll see in the annual catalogue it is part of a full suite of products with some really nice coordinating designer series paper too, so do take a look at the suite as well. So don't forget that when you buy the stamps and dies together, you do save 10% on that combined price. Today's card I'm keeping really quite fresh, clean and simple. So this one has a Blackberry Bliss sentiment, rich raspberry for the leaves, and mint macaron is the colour I've used on the foliage there. A bit of this is actually a Stampin' blend that I've put around the edge, so that happened to be Blackberry Bliss, and that's the one we've got in the collection of markers at the moment. Rich Raspberry was a Stampin' blend colour but did retire, but if you've got it you could have used that one as well. So yeah, there we go. So this is a variation on the theme that we're going to do today, but I'm going to go and see if I can make more of a sort of vintage style look to this one. So instead of basic white, I'm going to switch to very vanilla. I don't use a lot of very vanilla, and it tends to be when I go to vintage styling, that's when that comes out. So this is very vanilla that we're going to use today. Just a standard card base and what I call a full card layer. So the card layer will measure 4 by 5 3/4, and that fits on the front of the card with a very, very small border. Okay, just a few little fluffies there from where I've cut it down, so they just come off. So that's ready to go. So that's cut already, and then I've got a piece of very vanilla here which we're going to use to cut our beautiful wreath design. Okay, so I'm just going to get that die cut first, just moving that as close as I can to that edge because I want to try and fit the other stamp onto the cardstock. So we're just cutting out this background layer first so that we can get that done, and then we can stamp the that leaf design. Now I'm no botanist, don't know anything about plants really, so I've got no idea what that is, but either way it's pretty. So just pulling that out of my my Stampin' die cut machine. Stampin' Cut and Emboss, that's what it's actually called. That came out all wrong. It's okay, so that's a really well used plate there. You just keep using and using and using it. They last for ages and ages. I do, you know, if you follow me, you know I die cut loads. There's not many cards I do without die cutting. I do try and deliberately do some without die cutting, so those of you who don't like it or don't have a machine can still make some of the projects that I share. But I do love it. It's an absolutely fantastic invention. So there's just a few little pieces there that if you just rub over the top, they just fall out here and there. And if you look on the back, often they are more apparent. So there you go. That's it, I think. So we'll just put those little scraps in the bin, and this is ready to do what we want to with it. This scrap then I want to try and fit on our whatever it is, plant thing, leaves. So it's going to fit hopefully just about. No, it's going to have to go that way. I did try it out and I thought, oh yeah, I'll be able to squeeze that in. So if I squeeze it in there, I'm going to use, I'm going to use soft suede is what I'm going to use. I'm going to use early espresso for the sentiment. In the time it's taken to actually think about what I'm going to do and turn the camera on, I've forgotten. It seems to be a bit of a symptom at the moment, just mind is a bit like a sieve. This stamp barely fits on this block, so I'm cheating a little bit by squeezing that on there, but it just about fits. But ideally you'd use an E-block to stamp that out. So that's soft suede. Okay, just realised I'm going to need another bit of very vanilla for the sentiment, so we'll have to find some of that in a minute. Probably got some in my scrap pile that I can use. Oh yeah, look, there we go. So that's ready to die cut. There you go, I could have squeezed, instead of trying to squeeze it onto here, I should have just got this other piece out, shouldn't I? But hey ho. Trying to be as efficient as possible with my cardstock. So just get that lined up, run it through the die cut machine again. There we go. Beautiful, straight out, no problem whatsoever. The SU dies are really lovely and contain loads of detail, so it's very easy to achieve the look that you want. Okay, early espresso for the sentiment, which is just hello there. There's various sentiments in the set that you could use. I'm just going to go with this one. And I'm going to use the double oval punch, okay, and the decal edged image fits that quite nicely. Okay, so that's there and ready to go too. Okay, so all we need to do now is we need to ink over the foliage here. So I'm just going to bring in some scrap grid paper here, and I'm going to use crumb cake ink, and I'm going to use a blending brush. So I'm just going to apply that ink, just take off the excess a little bit with onto the paper, and then rub that on. It's a little heavy-handed with that first bit, but I don't want it to be a uniform colour. So as we work round, it'll get paler, and then re-ink, and we'll get those different gradients of colour along there. Okay, I'm sure that'll work out just fine. Once it's funny how you sometimes think, oh gosh, I've made a mistake, but actually when your card comes together, it all turns out okay in the end. Alright, so we've got a distressed sort of foliage part there, and our lovely little sentiment. Could in fact just use a bit of that crumb cake ink pad and just sort of rock the edges of that. Don't press too hard, just roll it in, and it'll just ink up the edge of that that punch piece as well, so that'll just apply a little bit of colour to that. And then for the actual card layer, where have I put my card base? There it is. Card base and card layer. So you could use a stamping blend. So there is a soft suede stamping blend. We've also got crumb cake or the ivory that we could use, not ivory, bronze. So various colours that we could use to bring that in. So what I'm going to do is just run that along the edge of the cardstock here. I've got the back of the card on the side of my dominant hand, so if I slip, it's going to go across there rather than across the front. And although it's a blend, if you're only going gentle and it only just misses, it shouldn't go through, soak through to the front too much. You can do this with like with the ink pad, like I've just showed you, or the Stampin' Right markers as well. So you could equally use the equivalent Stampin' Right marker here. There's a brush end on that, and do exactly the same kind of thing. But the blend means that it dries straight away, so you can get that card put together. Okay, so see what I mean about it going down the edge, but because it's only light, it hasn't soaked through enough to be a problem. So that goes on the front, so it's a full layer, so it's going to be a skinny-ish border, but nonetheless it just it frames it without necessarily adding you know, dimensions or anything to it. Right, this is what we're going to stick on next. Now I'm going to pull in a silicone mat, which I've just buried underneath all the bits and pieces that I've just used. So if I bring in a silicone mat, that just protects your surface from getting too sticky, and just allows us to apply some glue to some strategic areas. So I've kind of aimed for these larger leaves where the glue can sit. Odd one or two. So as long as you've got a few anchor points, then it's not going to matter. You don't need to cover it at all. And in fact, having some bits sticking up and on the card, you know, gives it a bit of movement and flow. Okay, so we'll just pop that down something like that. Okay, just give that a bit of a press into place. Just bring in some dimensionals. So I found 3 dimensionals fitted on here quite nicely, about there. So triangle's a nice strong shape. So if you've got them positioned like that, then it offers a lot of support to your image. That's going to drop in somewhere around there. Okay. Any little bobs of glue will dry clear, and then that's going to pop in there. Okay, so I'm going to sort of try and put my dimensionals sort of more on this side so that they're attaching to the card base rather than the that die cut. So that it sits nice and flat, and sort of tuck it in and under that foliage a little bit. And there we go. So I didn't add any embellishments to either of these cards at all, but of course you are quite welcome to add and decorate that as you want, really. So there you go, 2 very different looks from the same stamp set using exactly the same layout. And I hope that's been helpful for you and giving you an idea of how to use the Nature's Prints bundle. and coordinating dies. Okay, product links are in the description, do take a look. Okay, that's it from me for today, short and sweet. I'll see you soon, take care, stay safe, ta-da!